So what's drawing attention to today's hearing is the ex-defense minister's attendance as a witness and his first face-to-face with President Yoon since the martial law declaration on December 3rd. Let's discuss more with Professor Paik Eunseok this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we'll be seeing two key figures in the same room later today. How do you expect the atmosphere to be?
Well, President Yoon and the former Defense Secretary Kim are the two men at the very center of the martial law debacle. They were one team in planning and implementing the failed martial law, as you know. And today will be the first time the two meet face-to-face since the insurrection investigation began. This time, Yoon is the respondent in his impeachment trial, and Kim is the first witness called in by Yoon's legal team. What is to note, in my view, is that on key issues, such as what role Yoon played in respect of the martial law decree number 1 that prohibited all political activities, etc., some of the statements Kim made during his criminal investigation and Yoon's own statements are not in agreement. They are inconsistent. So we will see whether Kim will testify to the effect that Yoon was the mastermind behind the decree with intent to carry it out, thereby sort of distancing himself from the president, or he will change his previous statements and place him in line with Yoon, showing loyalty to the president. Since Kim is Yoon's witness, he will be first examined by the president's legal team, and I gather President Yoon himself may examine Kim during this time. There's a possibility of that before the cross-examination by the National Assembly's legal team.
It will be quite an interesting scene to follow later today. Kim Yong-hyun made a statement that he broke the laptop that wrote the decree number 1 announced at the time of the martial law order, adding that he broke it because he accomplished a mission. How will such a statement affect the impeachment hearing and the trial itself?
Well, one key issue in the impeachment trial is what exact role President Yoon played regarding the decree. President Yoon has so far maintained that Kim was chiefly responsible for drafting the decree, with Yoon only approving it, and no execution of the decree was actually intended. Kim's notebook, computer, mobile phone, and other files and documents are in that sense, critically important pieces of evidence in establishing the full facts. Now that the key evidence has been destroyed, it would be much harder to establish what actually happened and how responsible President Yoon was in that regard. And in this sense, this may cause the trial to take longer, I suppose.
Well, we should also talk about the memo about allocating funds for establishing an emergency legislative body that President Yoon allegedly passed to the current acting president, Choi Sang-mok, while Yoon continues to deny all the allegations. Let's talk about that.
Right. The note ultimately handed over to the Minister of Economy and Finance, now the acting president, Choi. The note was about securing the funding for the so-called emergency legislative body. Yoon has denied his knowledge of the note, let alone his involvement in the making of it altogether. On Tuesday, upon being asked by the acting Chief Justice Min about the note, President Yoon stated he first heard about it through the media, and something like that could only be written by the Minister of Defense, that is Kim. If the note was indeed made by Yoon in an attempt to bypass the National Assembly, which is the legitimate legislature under the Constitution, this could be crucial in making out the case against President Yoon for impeachment. So we will have to see what Kim's stance today is, taking the responsibility himself, or basically pointing the finger, so to speak, at President Yoon.
Well, Professor Paik, we will be seeing President Yoon for the second time at the hearing later today. Now, he showed a rather modest and confident attitude at the third hearing of his impeachment trial back on Tuesday. Do you think he'll also present himself the same way today as well? I mean, why has he been using these gestures and tone?
it's not easy to figure that out, what's going on with him, but maybe it is part of his two-track strategy. So on the one hand, not cooperating with or even resisting the criminal investigation by CIO or the police, but participating in the impeachment trial and taking advantage of opportunities to assert his version of what happened while be communicating to his supporters at the same time. His legal team indicated that President Yoon will be present in all the scheduled hearings, so we hope he remains that way.
Well, today's hearing is the fourth of its kind. The last and eighth hearing will take place on February 13th next month. How likely is it that there'll be additional hearings, if there are any additional ones, for what reasons?
Well, I think initially 5 hearings were scheduled, as you know, and all these 5 scheduled hearings were taking place in the afternoon only. And then 3 more hearings have been added by the Constitutional Court with a list of witnesses to be examined. But for these 3 additional hearings, the court announced hearings will begin in the morning and last all day. So it is clear that the court wants to move forward without delay, given the gravity of what is at stake in the impeachment trial against a sitting president. But in the course of the scheduled hearings, there may arise a need for additional hearings. The Constitutional Court held 17 hearings in the impeachment trial of President Paik Eunseok. I don't think this time it will be that many, as the issues are much more straightforward than the case against the Park. I think it would be in the best interest of the whole nation for this trial to be brought to a finality fairly but swiftly, which was what the acting Chief Justice Min said right from the very outset. And so we hope the proceedings stay that way.
Well, we are halfway there. We'll see how the second half unfolds. Professor Paik, thank you so much for taking your time to be connecting with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.